Welcome, everybody, to today's Benefits of Turmeric talk. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what the research says about turmeric, and then we will go from there. The benefits of turmeric, a review on the research, and some supplement suggestions. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Stafford. I am a personal trainer, nutritionist, mom, wife, athlete. I do like 5,000 different things. So I'm always running. And one of the things that I love, though, is I love to follow the research. So I'm kind of a bit of a big geek. And when it comes to especially, sports and nutrition, I like to see what the research says, not just what's anecdotal and blasted all over the internet. So I got really interested in this turmeric because a lot of stuff has been popping up. And in fact, there is a ton of research done on turmeric. So just to kind of, lay the groundwork, turmeric has benefits kind of all over the body, every single system. It's anti-aging, antimicrobial, it fights inflammation, it boosts skin health, it's a natural pain reliever, it can reduce heart disease, it can improve your brain health, and I'm sure like a bazillion more because the research is just insane. So how does it work? First of all, turmeric is part of the ginger family, and the medical benefits are mostly coming from the curcuminoids that are in the turmeric. And the most important of those is called curcumin. And that's the piece that has the most powerful anti-inflammatory effect, and it is a very, very strong antioxidant. So how it actually does all of that anti-inflammatory stuff, this is the science part. The curcumin is going to actually block a little molecule in your body called NF-κB. And that little molecule travels to the nuclei of the cells and it turns on the genes that are related to inflammation. So by blocking that little molecule, curcumin can effectively decrease that chronic inflammation because it's no longer triggering those inflammation genes to turn on. So when you can kind of decrease that chronic inflammation in the body, you decrease all of those diseases associated with chronic inflammation, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, kidney disease, and a bazillion others. So my favorite part, of course, is looking at the research. And I've read a bunch of research articles on the curcumin and the turmeric and how it's working in the body. What does it do? So we're going to go over a couple of just the kind of bullet titles of some of the studies and some of the things that they found in their study. So first of all, can turmeric supplements help with arthritis pain? And in this study, they found that curcumin does have anti-inflammatory properties, making it a potential treatment for any number of conditions, including reducing pain and increasing the ease of movement with people with osteoarthritis. And then another research study, the efficacy and safety of curcuma domestica extracts compared with ibuprofen. So in this one, they actually looked at, are you taking 1,500 milligrams of curcumin versus a huge 1,200 milligram dose of ibuprofen? And they found that the curcumin extract was just as effective as taking ibuprofen. I don't know about you guys, but I have never taken 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen daily. I mean, that's just a lot, and that can tear up your stomach. I would much rather take something natural that's not going to chew up my intestines. So curcumin may prevent clogged arteries. And how it does this is the current study suggests curcumin may thwart the development of atherosclerosis or clogged arteries, which is a key risk factor for heart attacks and strokes. So we're looking prevention here. Efficacy and safety of turmeric and curcumin in lowering blood lipid levels. And that's exactly what it does. By improving those blood lipid levels, the turmeric and curcumin can prevent the risk of cardiovascular disease. Then we have the use of curcumin in diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of Alzheimer's. Now, that's a big one. And this study found that for prevention and treatment of Alzheimer's disease, the curcumin has been shown to effectively maintain the normal structure and function of cerebral vessels, mitochondria, and synapses, reducing the risk factors for a variety of chronic diseases and decreasing the risk for Alzheimer's. So if we can keep all that stuff going on in our brains moving and working much better, we can decrease the possibility of some of these brain-related diseases. So how a turmeric compound could treat glaucoma. That was another one. And actually, there are a whole bunch that were talking about all sorts of different eye disease. But if you think about it as an anti-inflammatory, hold on one second. As an anti-inflammatory, you're decreasing a lot of that extra pressure behind the eyes. So curcumin and type 2 diabetes. Ooh, that's a fun one because that's a totally preventable disease, by the way. Well, almost totally preventable disease. Curcumin has the potential to counteract diabetes and its complications, because diabetes is, in fact, very much an inflammatory type response in the body. Now, curcumin versus metformin, still looking in that diabetes type population, the metformin is there to help regulate blood sugars and things like that. Curcumin was found to be 400 times more potent than metformin in dealing with type 2 diabetes. And then looking at the curcumin versus Prozac. So now we're looking at more of our mental health. Curcumin was as effective in treating depression as Prozac. And there is actually a third group in the study. There was the Prozac group, the curcumin group, and there was a group that used both together. And the group that used both together was actually exponentially more effective than either one by themselves. But the curcumin was equally as effective as Prozac. So curcumin in liver disease definitely is going to be helpful. And the results showed that curcumin prevents liver toxicity and lower levels of ALT, AST, and ALP. So just totally improving the function of the liver. Curcumin, a potential neuroprotective agent in Parkinson's disease. And this one hit a little close to home because my father passed away from Parkinson's disease. And gosh, if I knew these things, 10 years ago, I would have totally had him on turmeric. Curcumin exhibits antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-cancer properties. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and is neuroprotective in neurological disorders. And how important is that when there are so many possible neurological disorders that can be really, really debilitating? So protection from acute and chronic lung disease. And lung disease is also inflammation related, and curcumin plays a protective role in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, acute lung disease, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and allergic asthma. And being an asthmatic, I can tell you when things get all constricted, that's also due to systemic inflammation in the body triggered by allergens. So anticoagulant activities of curcumin and its derivative. We've also got curcumin and chronic kidney disease, therapeutic potential of curcumin in eye disease. I mean, the studies just go on and on and on. Curcumin, a potent protectant against esophageal and gastric disorders. Turmeric for your thyroid and Hashimoto's. Efficacy and safety of curcumin in major depressive disorders. I mean, there were so many research articles. I couldn't even come close to reading them all, but I did read most of the ones I put up here. And I would say that the research definitely speaks for itself. And there were over 12,000 papers that researchers published on curcumin between 1924 and 2018. And that was just in regards to cancer. And of those, 37% of them were about how turmeric and curcumin could prevent the development and progression of cancer. I mean, seriously, that's just the research on cancer. There are so many other things, as you can see, what we were already talking about. So there have also been more than 120 clinical trials performed to assess the medical use of turmeric and more specifically of curcumin. Now, why don't people know this? Because I'm going to tell you, until I was starting to read about some of this stuff, I didn't know this. But the reason why people don't know a lot of the stuff about natural, holistic nutritional assistance in the body is that natural options are not a part of traditional medicine. They just aren't. And in fact, your traditional healthcare providers don't have any training at all in natural health options unless they intentionally choose to take a course or two in it. And I know when someone goes through med school to be a physician, They maybe have one nutrition class. So what they're learning is more about what kind of medications can they prescribe. It's not really how do we truly prevent disease. And that's where all this research on amazing nutrition can make a big difference. So this is not even an entire list. It's just a lot of potential items that have been used in the past that turmeric has been used for. This is more like your folk medicine way back when they didn't have all of these prescription medications, but turmeric is used for a bazillion things. I mean, inflammation and arthritis, diabetic wounds, skin cancer, digestive disorders, purifying the blood, improving circulation. I mean, just tons and tons of things because it's really amazing inside the body as a natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. So now that we've gone over a little bit of like what the research is saying and what turmeric can do for us, you got to take some of that knowledge and say, what can you do to improve your health? And we're going to start out with saying, how can we decrease the inflammation in our body? How about stop eating crap? All the processed, refined sugars, artificial foods, those all inflame your body. And you can even look up, there's a huge list of foods that create inflammation in the body. So stop eating the crap and instead start eating good quality foods. This is just a short list of some of the foods that eliminate inflammation in the body. Nuts, avocado, spinach, tart cherry, olive oil, your orange vegetables, pineapples, and everything in that ginger, onion, garlic type category. Now, once you've got a kind of a handle on the real whole food that you can use to help your body, you also need to look at what can you do supplementally. And that's where I like to partner with Shaklee because of all of the research they do. As you can tell, I am a total science geek. I actually enjoy reading research. And Shaklee has over 125 published research studies. And these are in like scientific journals. They're double-blind, placebo-controlled, all sorts of wonderful studies, not just marketing research. I think it's over 140 now. And over 100,000 quality tests a year, 350 tests on every new botanical ingredient for harmful contamination and pesticides. And in fact, speaking of pesticides, more than 250 pesticide tests beyond what is required by the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. So take what the U.S. Pharmacopoeia requires and add 250 more pesticides that they're testing for to make sure that these products are really truly pure. The science tells us that they actually do what they say they're going to do. And then you've got all these Olympic athletes that trust the products because they do what they're supposed to be doing. And they're so pure that they're not worried about that drug testing that happens 24/7, 365 days a year. So here's a company that cares about the planet. It cares about the people, and the science speaks for itself. So with that said, if I can actually move my screen forward. Hello, there we go. With that said, the Shaklee Turmeric Boost is an amazing, amazing new product. And here we've got 500 milligrams of turmeric extract. But what's different with the Shaklee turmeric is that normal turmeric root powder contains maybe 2 to 5% curcuminoids, whereas in the Shaklee Turmeric Boost, we've got 95% curcuminoids. And as we talked about earlier, that's really where the magic is. It's not just the root ground up into a powder. It's actually pulling out the curcuminoids that do all this wonderful magic. And what some of the research had been talking about, though, on a negative side was, well, the curcuminoids do amazing things, but they're difficult for the body to absorb. Well, what science has discovered now is that by adding a little bit of black pepper to your curcumin extract, you can increase your absorption up to 2,000 times. So that's amazing. Now we can say, great, we've got great healthy benefits, And now we can even absorb it. So it's an amazing little bit of science all tied together. The best part is all Shaklee products are 100% guaranteed. So, try it. Take it for a month, preferably 3, because it does take your body a little bit of time to actually turn over cells and truly make changes. But if you don't like it, if it's not working, you can get your money back. Now, there is a little bit more than just let's take some turmeric, because it is an amazing substance, but the body requires a nice balance of nutrition. So we do have this great meology assessment to come up with what would be your ideal personalized bundle of nutritional supplements based on your needs, your health history, your family history, your goals, your lifestyle, so many different things. It's going to take you maybe 5 to 10 minutes to go through it, but I strongly recommend that you talk to whoever invited you onto this call. Have them send you the link for the meology assessment. Take it. There's no obligation to buy anything. You will guaranteed to be learning something about yourself and your nutritional needs just by taking the assessment. So that's going to give you a great idea on what you need. Throw in some turmeric. Be healthy, because the person who takes medicine must recover twice, once from the disease and once from the medication. So health is a choice. And what will you choose?